Okay, this is your final warning. Things are about to get really crazy in crypto. I'm sure you're already feeling it a bit with the recent market bounce. But there's more that you need to understand. Over the last few years since the 2022 bear market, we've been seeing this pattern of global liquidity spiking up, followed by a pump in the crypto market. And so far, this pattern repeated 3 times over. Now, since the start of 2025, global liquidity has been on a run and it hasn't slowed down yet. Based on this recurring pattern, Bitcoin and the rest of the market should push up even higher than last time. The problem is that it's hard to believe this when Bitcoin has been on the way down since January, but that changed last week. We're starting to see another climb back up to 100k, which would help confirm that this pattern is real. Feeling excited yet? Well, if you're not fazed by this, then maybe you will be if you look at what's going on with other altcoins. Because while Bitcoin went through a 25% climb from the last dip, other assets have been seeing incredible recoveries. And one that almost doubled its price is Kaspa. Now, the Kaspa price did fall down by a lot more from this last dip too, which means percentage-wise, this climb isn't that shocking. But we still can't ignore a 2x in such a short period of time. It almost feels like the beginning of a massive bullish run. In fact, there's actually a pretty good reason we might see Kaspa dominate the altcoin market pretty soon. You guys know that I've been bullish on this project from the start, but we're about to see one of their biggest milestones come to life. In about a week, Kaspa is expected to fully transition its mainnet to the new Crescendo update. At that point, the Kaspa network will complete its hard fork. And this was basically the final step in achieving a processing speed of 10 blocks per second. Yes, we're about to see Kaspa achieve one of its most exciting goals after several years of development. An already fast proof-of-work network is about to get 10 times faster. And this is a critical stepping stone towards achieving 100 blocks per second at some point down the road. But wait, let's take a step back for a second. Is increasing network processing speed really that important? Would something like this be enough to make Kaspa a top network? Well, this is just one part of the story. Even with a pretty big community behind this project, there are several arguments that go against Kaspa. I've touched on this before, but I think it's important to expand on some of these points to better understand what Kaspa is up to. And more importantly, if it's worth adding more Kaspa to your portfolio, or even starting a position now if you haven't already. If you want to get all the latest alpha on projects in the crypto space, then check out the FireHustle VIP Discord. I also share my content and portfolio moves in the Discord before it reaches YouTube and X. So if you're looking for a way to stay ahead of everyone else in this market, then follow the link in the description to learn more about the Discord group. Now hit those like and subscribe buttons and let's dive right in. Now, we'll start the price chart for Kaspa. Remember back when we all thought of Kaspa as the best performing crypto of this cycle? Well, it quickly gained momentum with the market push near the end of 2023, and by mid-2024, it set a record high of over 20 cents. Now, this was the peak point for Kaspa, and it's been a bumpy downtrend since then. Just last month, Kaspa was back in the 5-cent range, and this caused a lot of panic and FUD in the community, which is understandable. That's over a 70% drop from the top. But then over the last few months, we saw this double bottom pattern show up. And this is normally a bullish sign that indicates an upcoming reversal, which is exactly what we saw this past week. Kaspa jumped past this resistance level just over 8 cents and actually reached 10 cents with this climb, a price zone we last saw in February this year. So anyone that bought the dip on these local bottoms already saw 2x by now. And if you're wondering where I buy my Kaspa, I actually use WEEX as one of my main exchanges. I know you're probably using multiple exchanges already like I do, but trust me when I say this is a solid one you have to keep on your list. Cheap fees on trading, no KYC, no location restrictions, which is great if you're in countries like the US and Canada where exchanges are often blocked. You can even do your own TA on the TradingView integrated chart while you trade, just like I did. And if you sign up with the link in the description, you'll get a 200 USDT bonus to get started on WEEX. But of course, if you're considering trading Kaspa, the big question is, will this keep climbing? And for anyone that missed the dip, is it too late to add more Kaspa? This double bottom pattern is obviously being influenced by Bitcoin. The majority of the market actually went through the same pattern, but Kaspa has been known to stray away from the overall market movements in the past, both due to bullish news, which propelled Kaspa further than most coins, and some FUD that led to significant price drops. And with a recent push we saw, we have to wonder if Kaspa will continue to climb even further. and if it'll continue to outpace giants like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's break down this project a bit more to get a better understanding of where Kaspa stands, starting with a major bullish point. So I mentioned that the crescendo update is basically the gateway to achieving a network speed of 10 blocks per second. Right now, the network is undergoing a transition period where node operators are required to apply the crescendo update to their nodes. It's also referred to as version 1.0. This pie chart here shows us the progress for node updates. So far, over 60% of nodes have been upgraded to the newest version, and this number continues to rise every day. Now, according to the team, we should expect the crescendo update to be fully implemented on the mainnet on May 5th. This is when Kaspa should be officially operating at 10 blocks per second. You'll also see this DAA score target posted on X. This basically represents how much work is being done by miners to produce blocks. The DAA score increases over time, which can be understood as increasing mining difficulty. And reaching this target score is actually the trigger for the mainnet upgrade to be rolled out. Now, while 10 blocks per second is one of the project's most anticipated updates, some believe that this doesn't really mean anything. Most other networks and blockchains use TPS or transactions per second as a metric for speed. And while BPS tells us how many blocks are being produced per second, regardless of the number of transactions, TPS tells us how many transactions are being processed without considering blocks. So it's difficult to compare BPS directly to TPS because they're measuring two separate things. But we can estimate TPS for Kaspa based on past performance and what we know about blocks on the network. Each block on Kaspa has a capacity of roughly 1 megabyte, and if most transactions take up 200 to 400 bytes of space, that means a theoretical maximum of 2,500 to 5,000 transactions. At the current 1 BPS metric, that means a speed of 2,500 to 5,000 TPS. This estimate already makes Kaspa a competitive network in the market, especially given that it's a proof of work network. And of course, a bump up to 10 BPS in just over a week will mean potentially 25,000 to 50,000 transactions per second. But this is still just theoretical. Day to day, we're seeing Kaspa process about 1 transaction per second. And this is because of low network activity overall. There were definitely a few times where we saw a spike in activity leading to more than 1,000 TPS, but these were short-lived bursts of activity. The true test will be when we see longer periods of high activity. Which brings up another point. Kaspa in its current form is just a currency transfer system. You can't do much except for send and receive tokens on the network. So with such limited use cases, it's not really surprising that the activity level is very low. But this is going to change pretty soon. One of the most anticipated items on the team's roadmap is the addition of a layer 2 ecosystem and smart contracts. Bitcoin is massive because of how people view it as a store of value, basically digital gold. And it's only getting bigger with all the recent policy changes coming into play and major institutional investors getting involved. Ethereum and Solana are playing catch up with Bitcoin, but they're still major ecosystems with a massive user base. And this is because of how much they've developed their layer 2 landscape. There are tons and tons of platforms and apps built on these networks with a wide range of use cases. And this is exactly what the Kaspa project is missing right now. Well, we know that the team plans on expanding the ecosystem with layer 2 capabilities and smart contracts at some point. And while there's no timeline for this, we've seen the team discuss the tech that will power layer 2 functionality on Kaspa. From what we know, they're working on a layer 2 platform called Sparkle, which is what will introduce smart contracts to Kaspa. And we also learned that Eager Labs is working on unlocking layer 2 and DeFi functionality for Kaspa in several different ways. And alongside this, there's also the Kaspa Key initiative that's focused on driving adoption of Kaspa's tech across different industries. Cross-border payments, RWA tokenization, supply chain management, the possibilities are endless. But these are just still roadmap items for now. So it's a bit of a bittersweet situation for Kaspa. On one hand, they're really trying to push the boundaries when it comes to processing speed. And this is great for building a foundation for efficiency and scalability. But the potential for the ecosystem to expand is limited by the lack of layer 2 aspects as of today. So then, is Kaspa even worth getting into at this point? Well, I've personally been following this ecosystem for years, and I've seen this team accomplish a lot in a relatively short period of time. It's part of why Kaspa grew so rapidly and became known as one of the top performers of this cycle. Now, I started adding Kaspa to my portfolio years ago when it was still well below 5 cents. And despite my initial position starting off at a low price, I've been adding more along the way. This last dip was basically enough to bring Kaspa back to the 5-cent range, and the quick 2x bounce should tell you how easily this dip got eaten up. And remember, all of this is happening while Kaspa is still in its most basic form. We're about to see 10 blocks per second come to life, and I think this will shake the crypto space up. What I mean is, if the update goes smoothly, then Kaspa will officially be 10 times more efficient, making it a bigger threat to other ecosystems. The next step after that will be smart contracts and layer 2 functionality. And if things go according to plan, we could see Kaspa become a top player in major sectors like DeFi and RWA tokenization. Now, there's definitely a lot more to cover when it comes to the world of Kaspa. And if you're interested in learning more, then leave a comment down below and I'll happily dive deeper into this ecosystem. Or if you want me to do a breakdown of other projects on your watch list, then let me know. As always, none of what I say is financial advice. Please don't blindly jump into anything just because I mentioned it here. My intention with these videos is to create a foundation of understanding and open up a discussion about different topics and projects in crypto. One piece of advice I will provide you with is do your own research. Read more about what's going on and really understand the project. That way you can make the best informed decision according to your personal goals. If you want to know more about the projects I'm watching closely, then come and join me in the FireHustle Discord. You can find the link in the description below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any of my content. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.